The former royals, known as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, are very charitable, we know that. They've given numerous donations over their time together to those worthy causes that matter the most to them. More recently, of course, they issued a statement on their website with the phrase, "We stand with Ukraine," as do many people around the world. But now are Harry and Meghan about to go even further in their plight to help those more needy? Hi, good morning, Neil Sean here in the very heart of London. Thanks so much for joining me today. This particular venue behind me is, of course, a beautiful Gothic style building called St. Pancras, built towards, yes, the last part, if you like, of the 18th century and into the 19th century. What's nice about this place is it was for many years sort of derelict, disused. When I first came to London, none of it was open. Partly it was used by the British Transport Police. It's part-time as well by British Rail, but the bulk of the hotel had been closed for many years, I think since around about the 1940s. The reason being is that, get this, when they actually built the hotel, they didn't really think that electric would take off, can you imagine? So most of the rooms were fitted only with gas. That's right. And then of course fast forward about 18 months, electric was all the rage. Suddenly this deluxe 5-star hotel in the heart of Victoriana in England looked a little bit sort of dilapidated and definitely out of touch. Today it's back up to its beautiful glory, this time managed by an international company called Marriott, and if you can afford it, I am told the master suite goes for £10,000 per night. Let's check in now. But first, let's get back to your breaking royal story of the day. Now, as I said in the intro, it's interesting, isn't it, with Harry and Meghan? They are charitable. They do donate to the causes that matter to them. And there's none bigger cause right now than the ongoing woes and battles over in Ukraine, particularly by all those terrible things that have happened to those wonderful people who are now displaced or looking for brand new homes, trying to find refuge somewhere in the world. My belief is, of course, that eventually when all this dies down, most of the people will return home, as there's simply no place like home. And I also think when you actually don't have a time to plan and move to a brand new country, it's very dispirited, isn't it? You don't know anybody, you don't know the ways of that country, and it takes a long time. However, over in California, as we know, the ex-royals known as Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, do have a spacious mansion. And this is a story that's infiltrating, as we always have to say here on the show, allegedly back to the United Kingdom. We recently had, of course, our gracious Majesty the Queen basically saying that there would be jobs available for any refugee from Ukraine in royal palaces. Absolutely, very noble gesture indeed. And then of course we have His Royal Highness Prince Charles looking into the options of his Dumfries estate for rehousing some very needy refugees. So it wouldn't take long, would it, for Harry and Meghan to decide that possibly, allegedly, they could do the same. Now it's interesting because they have, as we know, a very spacious mansion. Allegedly, we don't know this, but people basically use this term all the time. They have 16 bathrooms. How many guests do you need and how many bathrooms do you need? But on a more serious note, this would be a very noble gesture and one that could help rebrand the ailing brand of the royal couple, following on from some terrible PR over the last 18 months. Now, as we know, Harry and Meghan, and particularly Harry, is very humble in many situations like this, does like to reach out and help the needy. So it would make perfect sense. What I'm worried about in this particular story, if it isn't true, is that, of course, we get the usual, well, we can't because of security and ongoing battles and stuff like that. When you have a very spacious mansion, that's seriously not a problem. Now, a couple of people have commented on here about, well, Neil, what are you doing for the refugees? Listen, if they could climb into my very small wardrobe and live there, because that's the sort of space that I have living in London, then they're more than welcome. If anybody knows London prices and they know the size of these, I think people around the world call them duplex apartments, I'm not quite sure. We call them flats and studios over here. It's tiny and there is no space, let me tell you, for anybody, sadly. If I could, genuinely, of course I would. I'm a caring and compassionate person. We like to reach out for those who are in less fortunate than ourselves. But of course, with international celebrities like Harry and Meghan, it would make perfect sense and possibly the right thing to kickstart their brand and, more important, their popularity back into favour. As ever though, as I often say here on the show, when I know more, you'll know more. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.